thanks for stopping by the channel. I'm TC, host, founder, and originator of MBRR Media. He's well known as the Black Robe Regiment. Still what it is, but we're doing a lot of different things now, so I thought media was more apropos to what we do. I want to thank everybody for all the support, all the channel members. You guys especially mean a ton to what I do. You guys help keep things rolling. Shout out to the Angry Vet Tav for all the support that he gives. He just pops into the stream and gives you guys gift memberships, which is an amazing thing to have somebody do. What Tav does when he gives out gift memberships, not only does it support me, but it gives you guys a glimpse. I need to be better about members only content. Busier and all. Busier and all get out. When I left my former career and started doing this, I did not realize how much time I had off working for the sheriff's office. So I got to squeeze so many things in such a small amount of time now. So you'll never hear me complain about having too much time on my hands. You'll never hear that. Hey, USA Badass, thanks for being here. Glad you stopped by. I also want to give a shout out to IMAV from over on Subscribe Star. He's a show producer level like Tav. George, STD, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Guys, make sure you're hitting that like on your way in and sharing this out during and after. Come back after we've watched and leave a comment to push this up in the algorithm. And also my anonymous, she knows who she is. She's a big asset to the show. And also want to give a nod out to my researcher. She is a gift. What she does is just absolutely essential, and I don't know how she does what she does, but she's got a nose for finding threads. And I mean, I thought I could pull threads, but this lady, this gal, she's like a bloodhound. She can pull threads, and she listens when you ask questions too, which is an amazing thing. It's very, very odd if you do a show like this to say that people don't listen when you, especially when you're talking to them about content, or you're doing an interview, or you're having a conversation. She listens, and if you ask questions, she doesn't take it personal. She's like, "Oh, never thought of that. Good point." But yeah, so shout out to my show producer, or to my researcher. And if you're interested in being a show, hey Jimmy Johns, thanks for being here. Jimmy Johns is related to the story we're talking about today. So if you really want to help the show and you're interested in being a channel member, you can join here on YouTube, or you can join through Subscribe Star. Everything that you guys can do helps. It really does. Ever since the other half of MBRR Media had her heart attack in November, things have been rough, and it's not easy. And so the channel memberships, especially in the super chats and things like that, they go a long way to helping take care of things that need to be taken care of. So let's I've been followed, by the way, 2 nights in a row by different law enforcement agencies. Tuesday night was followed by a sheriff's office deputy who hung back, followed me quite a ways, and then turned off. And then last night I had the strangest interaction with the Minnesota State Patrol trooper who I'm convinced knew who he was dealing with, because at one point when he passed me, he looked over, nodded, and waved. And that never happens with troopers. People need to understand, troopers like that do not nod and wave at complete strangers. So I'm 98% positive that he knew what he was doing when he passed me, and I have video of that as well, where he's clearly speeding to catch up with me, and then speeds to get around me, and then he goes and takes a turn off as well. So we'll see how this drive time dialectic goes. As most of you know, I've been covering the story of, oh hey George, thank you so much for that. That means a ton. I really, if you guys don't know George has got his own story. So George, I know that means so much to me because I know what you're going through. So thank you. So I've been covering the story of Blake Mostad and his family, and the fact that Trooper Ryan Moeser paralyzed him on April 9th of this year. And that investigation went on for over 3 months. Yes, STD, I'm on their radar. But I've been covering the story about how the accident happened, the accident that preceded the accident that paralyzed Blake. And we've been talking about the lack of transparency, and talking about the lack of accountability, and talking about the delays and whatnot. And we announced, I was told, and 2 weeks ago, that the Dakota County Attorney's Office has chosen to not press charges against Ryan Moeser, saying that the accident was unavoidable, saying that there was no way for the trooper to avoid the collision, and therefore the sole responsibility for Blake's paralysis, and we're talking about, I think, a C2 or C3 spinal injury that has paralyzed him from the neck down, folks, and is leading to other medical complications, which is to be expected when you've been paralyzed from the waist down. You're going to have these complications. They decided they were going to charge this 71-year-old man with 8 different counts. 8 different counts, folks. Several of them felony level. We're talking, if he's convicted and gets a prison sentence at the age of 71 in Minnesota, he is going to die in prison over a mistake. Not a willful DUI, not a willful situation where he was intentionally trying to harm somebody. He made a mistake. He turned the wrong way down the highway and had a very, very minor fender bender with Blake and his brother and their friend as they were driving home from prom prep, for lack of better terminology. And the night of that accident, the investigating agency, the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office, announced that, through the Sheriff Brott announced that the accident was unavoidable. And at that point, any investigation was worthless. The sheriff had already drawn a conclusion that the trooper wasn't at fault because it was just an unavoidable accident, and therefore, why are we even talking about this? That's really what it came down to. And so they spent the next 3 months after that proving that they weren't really doing a genuine investigation. And Dakota County did state that, having reviewed all the dash cam and all of the other evidence that came up, they stated that the trooper, it was just a bad scene, and had it not been for this other driver, Dale Braun, none of this would have happened. Therefore, we're charging him. Well, what I found out, and this breaks my heart, I don't even know how to talk about it without losing my gourd, to be honest with you. I'm 71-year-old Dale Braun, on April 9th, gets into an accident, that fender bender, that then led to the trooper, Ryan Moeser, causing another accident. After that, Dale Braun apparently went into, I don't know how long after he was out of the discharged from the hospital, went into a care center. We just found out that Dale died. 71-year-old, charged with 8 different crimes, died on July 25th. Friday night. Friday, July 25th, Dale died. And that's tragic, because I don't care. You could call this speculation. When the news was given to me, the first place my mind went was self-inflicted causes. Just because I could imagine being 71 years old, told you're being charged with crimes that you're spending the rest of your natural life in prison, being distraught. I have told people, look, I will not go to prison, no matter what. I will not go. I will not. Hear me now. I will not, no matter what I'm charged with. If they charge me with a crime, I will not go to prison. I was born free. I will die free. That is a promise. And I know that we could talk about the levels of freedom in our statist imperial country, but as much as we understand freedom in this United States, I was born free, and I will die free. I will not go to prison. And I can imagine at the age of 71, if I were involved in a minor fender bender, I was told I was being charged with 8 things that could put me in prison for the rest of my life. Self-deletion would not seem too terrible foreign to me. And so that was my first thought about poor Dale. And then I found out that he died in a care center. Doesn't mean that self-inflicted wasn't the cause, but more than likely it was probably more natural than that. He's 71. I've heard some reports that he may have had some underlying degenerative brain issues. But I also have to say, when you are that age and you cause a minor fender bender that then leads to a serious criminal vehicular situation where a 17-year-old man, and it's not lost on me that Blake was 17 at the time of the accident and Dale was 71. 17, 71. And I'm not into numerology, but that's not lost on me. But I can't help but say to myself, what would that do to somebody who's already in a care center? Because if you're in a care center, you're probably not that healthy. There's other things going on. And that amount of anxiety, that amount of stress, that amount of concern, if he's a man of compassion and he recognizes what happened and he's being told that he's the blame, what are the odds that that wouldn't kill him? What if that, the anxiety and the stress and the depression and the worry and the fear and all of that, what are the odds that that drove that man to a heart attack or an aneurysm or a stroke? For 3 months, for 3 freaking months, they drug this out and out and out and out and out, and then announced, we're going to go after the old guy. We're going after the old guy. Never mind the trooper. Never mind the trooper. Never mind the fact that it's, anybody, even without seeing the dash cam, and we'll get to the dash cam stuff here in a second, folks. Even without the dash cam stuff, even without body cams, even without any GPS tracking, any of that, how fast did he have to be going to do the kind of damage that he did to hurt Blake in the way that he did? And the state, the government, circles its wagons around itself and around its people and says, nope, we're not going to hold the trooper accountable in any way, shape, or form. And if he receives any discipline for this, it's none of your business. You don't get to know. And because the trooper's not going to be charged, we don't get access to charging documents that would show if he's got a discipline history for this. See, like when I covered the story of, and my continuing coverage of this story of Shane Roper, who on May 18th of last year, 2024, did willfully and with just balls murdered Olivia Flores in the line of duty. We would not have found out, and I was the first person to break that story, by the way. We would not have found out about his driving discipline history if it hadn't been for the fact that Olmsted County Sheriff's Office or County Attorney's Office did do the right thing and charge him. Still hasn't gone to trial. That doesn't happen until March, by the way. So here you have Ryan Moeser out on paid vacation for 3 months. You've got Dale in a care center for, let's just say, 2.5 months, 3 months, however long he was in there. Under the weight of this investigation, knowing that he's a suspect. And by the way, folks, never talk to cops. I don't care if you're 8 or 98. If you're involved in a situation, even a fender bender, you volunteer no information. See, Dale's mistake was that he admitted to being not under the influence, admitted that he had taken trazodone that day. Now, I guarantee you that right now, driving down this road, there are people around me that are taking some sort of prescription painkiller. People do it all the time when they drive. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying that it happens. And trazodone is not a painkiller, but it has side effects. But he told law enforcement that he had taken that, and they charged him. Apparently, one of the charges that they were going to take him to trial on was driving under the influence of a controlled substance. Because they have to build a narrative that this old man, the 71-year-old Dale Braun, is the bad guy here. That there's no way it could be the trooper. And now Dale is dead. And here's the problem, folks. The case is now unresolved. This case is unresolved. There will be no adjudication of this case. There will be no closure of this case in the legal system. There will be no day in court for Dale to make his arguments. There will be no day in court for Dale's defense attorneys to say, hold on a second, why is our client even here? Why are we even having this goddamn conversation? Where's the dash cam? Let's see. Let the jury decide. Even though you're not going to charge this trooper with the crime, let the jury decide right now if Dale is the one that's responsible for Blake Mostad being paralyzed from the neck down. We don't even get that. The family doesn't get that. Blake doesn't get that. Blake's mom doesn't get that. Blake's brothers and sister don't get that. Blake's friends and family members don't get that satisfaction. They don't get to know. They don't get to get that out into the public. Hey, Skipper, KD, thanks for being here. They never get to get that information out into the eyes of the public through a courtroom where it's written into the court transcripts. There's never going to be an argument made now in a court of law about who is really responsible for that accident. And here's the worst part. Now that this case is going to remain basically open, an unresolved situation, the state, the government can sit on this. They can fight the release of the body cam. They can fight the release of the reports. They can fight the release of interviews. They can fight the release of all of it. We may never get to the bottom of this. We may never find out. And I did my video last week where I was talking about this, and I said, look, people, we're probably looking at minimum of $700 to $1,000 if the data requests that my researcher did go through and they release this. If they release this, we're looking at a minimum, I would say, of $1,000. I don't have $1,000 to get this. Only the family can get access to this now. Blake's family can get access to this now through their attorney. But, and this is not meant to be snide towards Blake's family. Please, everybody understand this. But they're not going to want to release that to somebody like me. They're not going to want me to get that. Their attorney's not going to go, oh yeah, great idea. Give it to this random alternative media outlet out there that I don't know from Adam. You know, that's not going to be the counsel that they're going to get. And if what I'm hearing now, and I've heard this from other people, I'm not going to say who it is. If what I'm hearing is true, the trooper speeds, and I'm waiting for confirmation, the trooper speeds were excessively in violation of Minnesota State Statute 169.17, which says that even when driving or responding to an emergency, law enforcement especially has to have lights onto the front and rear, and they have to be driving with due care and due concern for the well-being and safety of the general public. And the speeds that I'm hearing, the reports that I'm hearing about this trooper's speeds that night are an excessive violation of 169.17. An excessive violation. And KD and I were, we have been talking about this case because I see KD almost every day. We were talking about this, and I point, like, first of all, and I'll say this again, I'll say that every video I do about Blake and his family and the murderous acts of Ryan Moeser, if this were me, this investigation would not have taken 3 months. If Dale Braun caused a minor accident with Blake that didn't result in serious injuries, needing hospitalization and medical response, and I was driving down the road at 100 miles an hour or 200 miles an hour or 98 miles an hour or 75 miles an hour, and I came across that accident scene and I could not avoid the collision, I would be charged with failure to control a vehicle, reckless endangerment, and the vehicular assault. I can't remember the exact terminology of the charges they were putting on Dale, but I would have been charged with the damage. I would have been charged with the crime, and it would have been within days. If I wasn't arrested on scene, it would have been within days. I would have been booked in, and I could have made all the arguments in the world, but I didn't. It's not my fault that this accident happened, because this other accident happened and it was in the middle of the road. I couldn't help it. I couldn't stop. And their response to me would have been, that's your duty to drive with due care and to be able to control your vehicle, and you were driving at such an excessive rate of speed that you could not avoid this accident. That's your fault. You are responsible. We're charging you. This is a cover-up. Folks, it's a cover-up. And now the one means by which the public, and there again, no slight to Blake's family. I want them to have all the information, but the public has a right to see this dash cam. The public has a responsibility to get their hands on this dash cam video, to get their hands on the GPS reports that show how fast Trooper Ryan Moeser was driving. And here's why. Nobody's going to hold this son of a bitch accountable. He gets off scot-free, and people say, well, he's got to live with this for the rest of his life. Like, he won't, folks. I can tell you right now that 90 to 95% of the cops that I have ever dealt with, the ones that I dealt with and there again, I'm not saying all, 90 to 95%, their stress comes in worrying about whether or not they're going to lose their job or get charged, or both. Once they realize they're not going to lose their job and they're not going to be charged, they don't care, because they now feel like, I was doing this in the line of duty and it can't be helped. Oh, sorry about that. I went through a little bit. The thick blue line outside of a very, very small percentage have calloused consciences and their hearts are stone. And now I do believe that these agencies will stonewall us about getting that information, because they're going to say, look, case remains open. We can't adjudicate this case because the suspect is dead. I want Bailey and I, when I had Bailey on, we talked about this. How fast did this guy have to be driving, and what did he think he was going to accomplish by heading down the road looking for a wrong way driver at that speed? Where are we in our world? What world do we live in where reasonable people, I don't care if you are so adamantly back the blue that every cop that does every single thing is automatically right in your eyes until you personally observe him doing something wrong. How can you look at this situation and see that a 17-year-old man's life is forever altered? His family's lives are forever altered. All of them. And then you add into that a 71-year-old man is now dead, and his dying existence hung on the reality that he was probably going to go to prison for the rest of his life because Ryan Moeser couldn't be trusted to drive with duty and due care and consideration for the safety and the well-being of the general public. Precisely, crazy horse lady. I'm vacillating between being spitting mad and crying today. My heart breaks for Dale's family. I don't know how else to put it. My heart literally breaks for Dale's family as they go to lay their father, their husband, their grandfather, their loved one in the grave this week. This specter is going to hang over his head, over his memory, over his legacy, over their lives, over their families for years to come. That Dad died, that Dale died, that Grandpa died, that our brother died, our uncle died, with this albatross of guilt hung around his neck, because no matter how much we talk about you're innocent until proven guilty in a court of law in these here United States of America, everybody knows, especially that the bootlickers automatically believe you're guilty if the cops in the system say you should be charged. Everybody else is going to forever see Dale as being guilty in this situation, and I wish I could say something to his family to say, let us help you get this, from your perspective, get the story out so that we can clear him, because I guarantee you that the dash cam videos and the body cam videos are going to clear him and show that Trooper Ryan Moeser was at fault. I guarantee you. The dash cam videos will show that Sherburne County Sheriff brought the Sherburne County investigators, the Sherburne County Attorney's Office, and eventually the Dakota County Attorney's Office and the Minnesota State Patrol are all work together to run cover for their boy. And their perfect out was charging a 71-year-old man who now gets to have that as his legacy on his tombstone. Written, inscribed, invisibly, but still there for his family and his friends and everyone else. We will never know if he did it or not. You want to know people? I got a guy on Facebook who's he's like, what's your problem with cops? Why are you always talking negative about cops? And this is coming from a guy who talks negative about politicians and other government types all the time. Elected public servants and appointed public servants. But boy, I point where the cops are doing wrong, and he's like, what's your beef with cops? Folks, here's the problem. See, I have an equal amount of disdain for anybody in the public sector anymore. I don't care what your role is. I don't care if you're an appointed public servant, public employee, or if you're an elected public servant. You are to some degree or another, you are a burden on the people. But the biggest problem is that cops can literally kill you. Cops can literally unalive you. Cops can paralyze you. Cops can do great severe bodily harm to you. They can do it intentionally. They can even do it with negligence. They can do it through, oh, hey, look, a state trooper. They can do a massive amount of bodily harm to you. They can wrongfully arrest you. They can slap torture cuffs on you. They can haul you off to a detention center. You can eventually go to prison. You can be, they can lie. They can literally, they're protected in lying about you. They can do all of that stuff. They can do it all. Every single bit of it. And never be held accountable. Ever. Ever. They can do it all. They have the full authority of the state behind them to ruin your life and never face the repercussions for it. If you haven't yet, there is a phenomenal documentary out there. It's called Monopoly on Violence, or Monopoly on Violence, or Monopoly on Force. I can't remember which one it is now. Where they go through and talk about how the state has the monopoly on violence. You saw me flip off the at this point I almost hope he comes, because he did turn off and kind of head to the same direction that I'm heading right now. So I almost hope he does find me and then pull me over and ask me what my problem is. It would be great, especially live on video. But they don't ever face the repercussions. They can do whatever they want to do. Their life is protected. There's no one that's going to hold them accountable. And the Blake Mostads of the world, and the Olivia Floreses of the world, and the Dale Brauns of the world are victimized by the cover-up. It's not bad enough that Olivia had to die last year. It's not bad enough at the hands of a trooper, Shane Roper, who had his problems covered up in the past. Little tiny slaps on the wrist. Don't do that anymore. Don't wreck your car for the 5th time driving excessively. We're gonna warn you. We're not gonna stop you in your career and say, look, enough's enough. You clearly can't follow the law, let alone how can we trust you to enforce it. It's not bad enough that Blake's life is forever altered and he nearly died and his family had to live through that. That's not enough. Now Dale is dead with that specter standing behind him, that albatross of weight hanging around his neck in death. None of that's bad enough. Now we're going to make sure that nobody knows. So when people ask me, why do you hate the cops? Look, I don't hate a single individual cop. I really don't. I don't hate them. I despise the career field and what it has come to stand for. Hey, Ozzy. I really appreciate everybody being in the chat. I'm almost home, so... I have taught a lot of people this, but I taught Blake's family and friends the phrase, back the blue until it happens to you. And I mean that, folks. You guys, you need to embrace that. Hashtag back the blue until it happens to you. Because I'm sorry, what I'm learning is what I think Crazy Horse Lady said earlier, they're never going to care until it happens to them. And for the love of God, if you are a conservative, for the love of all that's holy, you do not have to take the position that to be a conservative and to be a patriot, that you have to back law enforcement. That law enforcement deserves the benefit of the doubt at all times. That has to be your position. It doesn't have to be your position. Patriotism does not demand that you back cops. Patriotism demands that you hold the government accountable. Would Dirty Harry be my kind of cop? I haven't watched Dirty Harry in so long that I couldn't even begin to tell you the premise of the movie to even be able to answer that question. My type of cop, if I was going to pick a type right now, it'd be somebody like Detective Matt Thornton. If I had a chance to sit down with Matt face to face off camera, and I would probably tell him, brother to brother, like, hey, I don't think every cop has violated somebody's rights. There are cops out there who say they haven't, but I think that's a minor disagreement between Matt and I. But he's my brother, and I care about him deeply, and so yeah, Matt Thornton would be my kind of cop. The kind of cops that aren't my types are the ones that have the Punisher tattooed on their arms or on their necks. Ever see a cop that has Punisher regalia? He's not a cop. He thinks he's a vigilante. And a lot of cops have the Punisher type mentality. They think that they are the end all and be all of justice. They believe that they are judge, jury, and executioner. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in for this, and I'm still going to say, like, one, super chats are great, channel memberships are phenomenal. Also, when I find out if we can get the data, I really do think they are going to drag their feet on it. I do absolutely believe they're going to drag their feet on it. That they're going to try and find a way to keep that data from getting out. Rebecca, don't thank me. Thank you for putting up with me. Rebecca is deeply related to the story. We are going to get this if we can get around whatever stonewalling that they do. And I am going to need support in getting that. I would never impose on the family and say, hey, will you give that to me? If they want to volunteer it to me when they get their hands on it, I will take it. But I'm never going to go, hey, since I've been covering this. But I do want that data. I want to prove that Ryan Moeser did what he did. And I do honestly believe that right now Ryan Moeser killed Dale Braun. I believe that the Minnesota State Patrol killed Dale Braun. I believe that Sherburne County Sheriff Brott killed Dale Braun. I believe that the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office killed Dale Braun. I believe that Sherburne County's Attorney's Office killed Dale Braun. I believe that the Dakota County Attorney's Office killed Dale Braun. And Dale Braun is never going to get his day in court. And that works out real well for the thick blue line. That works real well for the criminal injustice system. We need justice for this family. We need justice for Dale and his family. And we need to make the hashtag Back to Blue until it happens to you go viral in Minnesota and everywhere else. I'm just going to end now. Thanks. I love you guys. Till next time, Sic Semper Tyrannis.